Well, you've been certainly set up for the message that I bring you this morning, which is a message about you as individuals and certainly as the expression of spirit. This is the time of year that I love. You know, no matter how bad things were in my life, no matter what was going on in my childhood, no matter what was going on, when that tree went up, everything was fine. And I remember one particularly difficult year when I was in my early teens lying under the tree. I just thought, well, you know, I'll see this in a new perspective. So I lay down on the floor and I inched myself up as far as I could get and looked up through the tree. And I said, thank you, Spirit, that no matter what is going on in my life, I am always knowing that your presence is with me. And it's a presence that I have known since I was a child. Spirit always spoke to me. And I remember looking at that tree and thinking, look at the beauty of this. Look at how wonderful this looks. I really have to stop and look at the lights and think about what they mean and look at the tree of life. Look at how beautiful it is. Look what we've brought to it. And this year, as I put up my tree, as I was looking at each one of the ornaments on the tree, I was particularly moved to think about each one of those things that I put on the tree. The angel that goes on the top, which was a gift that I bought when my daughter was born, almost 57 years ago. And every single piece that I put on that tree had a special meaning. So sometimes these are things that we can do to remind ourselves of who we are. What is it about you that makes you a gift to yourself and to others? Sometimes we don't think of ourselves as gifts. Sometimes we think of ourselves as, well, I made another mistake, or I did this, or I did that. But then I remember that Spirit, that which is greater than I am, is present with me in all things. And that if I will take the time to do what it does to help me remember who I am, one of the ways I do that is I walk in the morning. I walk 5 to 6 miles. I go up by the bike trail and I get up high. I go from 40 to Montano, back again. But if I get up there early enough, as I'm coming back down the bike trail, I can watch the sun coming up. And then at night, I can go down the water ditch by Rio Grande, and I can see the sun set, which always, of course, reminds me of that great song, Sunrise, Sunset. I'm a part of that. You are a part of that. You are a part of every piece of energy. All of this is energy. All of this is spirit. All of it. You are there as well. You are not just a sort of a piece of flotsam and jetsam that Spirit decided could blow like a leaf. That is not you. You are within yourself the very nature of what Spirit is about. Energy. It's all energy. I mean, even the physicists are not now telling us and agreeing, and we need to agree with them. We are energy. Every bit of us, every part of us, and I remember when we were energy, and I remember as I'm energy, and it's infinite. It doesn't go away. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Last summer, I had the experience of losing my eyesight for 2.5 months. My right eye, which is my best eye. I got up one morning and all I saw was fog. And immediately beginning to sense into the spirit of truth within me the minute that I began to realize that there was something not as it should be. I began to do that. It took a while, 2.5 months. I couldn't drive. I couldn't read my computer. I could see TV, and I could walk. And I had lots of friends who I'd already put together at the Rio Grande Center for people who needed pastoral care. So I called them on the phone and went, "Guess who needs your help?" "It's me." And that, of course, was absolutely the most wonderful part of feeling loved and cared about. So what I'm going to talk about a little bit here is about the law and the love, about the spirit within you and how well that spirit works. One of my favorite parts of the textbook is the part where Ernest Holmes says, "This is the final conclusion." And what's right here? This is his final conclusion to this whole book. I read this periodically when I'm wanting some experience of affirming and faith. In conclusion, what the world needs is spiritual conviction followed by spiritual experience. I would rather see a student of this science prove its principle than to have him repeat all the words of wisdom that have ever been uttered. It is far easier to teach the truth than it is to practice it. This is my favorite part. It's the second paragraph. But the practice of truth is personal to each. So each of you has your own personal experience of practicing the truth. And in the long run, no one can live our life for us. To each is given what he needs, or she. And the gifts of heaven come alike to all. The gifts of heaven come alike to all. How we shall use these gifts is all that matters. To hold one's thoughts steadfastly to the constructive, to that which endures into the truth, may not be easy in a rapidly changing world. Amen to that. But to the one who makes the attempt, much is guaranteed. So, I want to tell you about a friend of mine. His name is Steve Peters, and actually his title is Reverend Doctor. I met Steve in the 80s. I finished school in 1983 and stepped right into the first clergy council for AIDS Project LA. That's where I began my chaplaincy. So we'd been doing this for quite some time, and I had gone to an AIDS Mass because I was asked to come and pray. So I was sitting in a chair, and there was a gentleman sitting next to me in the aisle, and they called my name to come up and do my prayer, and I got up to do my prayer, and I went back and I sat down, and then they called his name, and he went up to talk. And he came back and he sat down next to me, and at the end of the service, he turns to me and says, "I have been guided to ask you to work with me." Well, this is, at that point it wasn't doctor, it was just Reverend Steve Peters, and I'm thinking, okay, somebody's mystical besides me. I love it. So I said, okay, fine. When and where? And he said, we made arrangements, and we set a date. And when I heard his story, I was impressed. He was a young man who was the third person to open his file having AIDS. He was the first to close his file as being in remission. So when he came to talk to me, about what everything that he had gone through and what he had done and all this stuff, and it was considerable. I mean, he had lost every single part of his body that you could lose. His vision, his body not working, not functioning. He'd had cancer. They'd given him up many, many times, told him he'd never live to 30. He's now 65. So we began to work, and I said to him, so what is it you want to know, Steve? What can I help you with? What can I assist you with? He said, well, and then he tells me, third person to open his file, first person to close it as in remission. And he looks at me and he goes, I don't know what to do. I thought I was going to die. I've been thinking for 4 years now, as I've gone through every step, that I was going to die, and now I'm not. Well, this is a chaplain question, by the way. You see it a lot when you're working in the emergency room, or you're working where people are getting better and everything is well, and so it's not an unusual question. But I thought the answer was so obvious that I couldn't even believe he was sitting there asking me what he was going to do next. And I said, in his religion, which was Episcopal, I said, so what do you think you ought to be doing next? And he said, I really don't know. That's why I'm here. And I said, okay, here's an idea. How about if you start sharing the good news? How about if you start telling people that AIDS is not a killer? What if you start telling people that people do survive? What if you start spreading the good news? And then he began to spread the good news. And he was on every morning talk show ever, plus interview shows telling everybody, look, I'm in remission. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that Spirit or God or Yahweh or Jehovah can heal. I'm sure I'm not the only one. So every once in a while I'd turn on a morning program, and there he'd be talking away. And every once in a while I turn on my Skype and we get together and we talk. How's it going? What's happening? So what do you suppose we would say the gift was of this particular event? I would say that what brought him to illness was his gift, because he has taken that gift of his life and he has shared that life is infinite and eternal and is always well, no matter what. It's always well. He's outlived the prophets. He's outlived the diagnosis. And he has now, if you ask him what the gift was, he will tell you. I have learned in my life, as I have lived it for as many years as I have, that my gift in this life was to keep my body well, to keep my body whole, and that I had to start within my mind. And I taught him that he was creating his reality with spirit. You are creating your reality with spirit. And what is the truth of your being? You were created in a pattern of perfection. You don't lose it. That pattern stays with you, which was proved where I did my residency for chaplaincy, which was at UCLA. They had a whole series of tests that said if you lose your arm, there is still a pattern that goes out and is your arm, regardless of whether you lose your arm, your leg, whatever it is you lose, there is a pattern that is still there. That pattern of perfection is what you heal to. And one of the gifts for me in being a chaplain was to walk into room after room after room after room and look at somebody and see the pattern of perfection in which they were created, and then to begin to show them how they could see that pattern themselves. People were hungry to find out that the pattern of perfection within them was what healed that scratch. It's what healed that bone. It is what heals us if we will simply remember that. We can lose things. We can lose body parts. We can lose, as we have grown older, or even as we were born, we've lost things. We know that in the pattern of perfection, all things can be created in reality because it is still there. It doesn't go away. The doctors have learned that, you know what? I bet we can make an arm that looks just like that, a finger, a hand, a foot, a leg. We can do things. We can replace hearts. So if parts give out, there's another part to come to you. It is an amazing thing to me to watch people and to know that in this, and I grew up in Christian Science, so you can well imagine. I remember saying to my mom one time, my brother, my twin was a doctor, he's retired, and I'm a chaplain, and I said to my mom one day, so Mom, what went wrong? And my mom, in her infinite wisdom, looked at me and smiled and said, nothing. And she was right. I mean, there's always a reason, there's always a gift. I want you to think about your life and think about the gifts that you bring, because you bring more than one. Find an alignment, which is what I basically said to Steve. Find the alignment between your gifts, your skills, and your experience. And then find a need, other people's needs. And you may find something that you really love doing. And I really don't care how old you are. It makes no difference. All things, as you are serving others, you will find a gift. That gift for you is there. If you are feeling that there's something that you could do that you aren't doing, I have a neighbor who was a social worker, and she just resigned and retired. And she's sharing with me what she's going through with retirement. And I said, I hear you, because I had some of those feelings too. I hear what you're saying, but go through it. Don't deny it, just go through it. Say, this is where I am right now, and it will get better, because it will. So as you segue over into that, go back to what I just said. Find the alignment between your gifts, skills, and experience and people's needs. So that's within yourself, your gifts, and others. How do I serve others? How does this show up for me? What is it I can do that helps other people? And you will find yourself in service. We certainly have a lot of things to be in service to. Okay. I brought a present with me. is a gift, and I'm going to open it. I brought the way to open it. I came prepared. So I'm really pleased about the way I wrapped this in 5 minutes. And I'm probably not going to destroy it because I sort of like it. So, this is another thought and another perception about a gift. Okay? And I'm going to tell you about this gift. We could call this regifting. You know how sometimes we look down our noses at regifting? This is a gift to myself from someone in this room. So I decided this morning I'd regift myself, but at the same time, what I wanted to point out was this. Think about a gift that you got that you don't like. Now, I'm not saying that about this gift, because I love this gift. But think about a gift that you've gotten that you didn't like. And certainly, we can talk about things in our lives that have not been what we liked, can't we? You want to take that and throw it out. Oh, I'll regift it to somebody else. Somebody else might like it. I might. You never know. It's pretty well, unfortunately, I'm one of these tape freaks. So what happens is I tape everything, including the box. So I'm going to put this over here. There. Now I want to tell you about this gift. See, the box is taped too. I want you to think about this gift as a metaphor for your life. Are you in control? I started to wrap this gift, and the stupid box top wouldn't stay down. And so I said, okay, you've had it with me. I am going to fix you. And I did. And then finally, the gift stayed where I put it. All right, now. So how do you open a box? How do you open a gift? You ever watch people open gifts? Doesn't it amaze you? I mean, I have a friend that would take the gift and put it down. Take it back and put it under the tree. And I'd say, no, you have to open it. I'll open it later. What does that tell you? Okay, so anyway, this is a gift of warmth, which means it's a gift of love. Now, who do you think gave this to me? Liz made it for me. Do you want to know how old this gift is? Every time I tell her, she just dies. She gave it to me in the 80s. So what do you cherish that much? Can you think about things that you've cherished all of your life that were gifts? Okay? And you took really good care of them. Okay? So, but I mean, look at this. We even have packages on the sleeve. So every Christmas I wear it. And she even signed her name down at the bottom. So this is a piece of art, guys. This is a piece of art. And that's the way I look at it, and that's the way I think about it. How many of you have received gifts that you think of as pieces of art that somebody made for you? Exactly. And those of you who have received gifts that you were really excited about 30 years ago, how excited about them are you today? The metaphor is, what about yourself are you excited about? What were you excited about 30 years ago about yourself? And what is the gift that is still there that remains no matter what happens to you? What would those gifts be? Speak right up. I have a gift from my mother. Persistence. Do you have a gift? Tell me the words. Perseverance. What else? Determination. That's a great one. Love. Humor? Absolutely. Excitement? Great one. Adventurous. Yes. This is good.
Message from my mother that you can do and be anything, anyone that you choose to. Go for it.
Bless her. Bless her. And were we ready to hear those messages? Yes, we were. And if we weren't when we heard them, we got there somehow. So that each one of you can think about the gifts that you've been given, the spiritual gifts, the presence of Spirit always with you, the presence that you have received from other people, the gifts that are not seeable, love, perseverance, humor. The parts that you can see are still there. You can see yourself when you smile. You can see who you are within. Who am I really? I know who I am. And my wish for you this Christmas is that you know who you are well enough so that gifts can come alike to all. Each of you were given a piece of paper. So what I'd like you to do, if you will, is take that paper and I want you to write on it what you would like to have as a gift this year to give yourself. Something you're going to recognize, something you're going to be, something you're going to experience. Write it down. I'm going to collect it. So we can put it in here. And then you know what I'm going to do with it? I'm going to bring it back next year and you get to read them. Okay, is she writing for me? Okay, I'll be back. No. I think everybody comes prepared.
I'll bring my whole books and pens and all that next week.
Okay.
We're not ready.
Thank you.
Okay, now remind us it's been a long time because we have to look at the pens.
Yeah, what did you say again now?
I'm sorry. What is the gift you want to experience this year?
I got them prepared again.
She put it in the box.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to put this up here. So if you're still writing, you have a place to drop it. The thing I like about this is that when you open a gift, the present is unknown to you. Isn't that the best part? So as we step out this coming year, we're going to know that maybe we don't know everything that's going to happen, but we're going to step out in faith. We're going to step out knowing that regardless of what happens, that pattern of perfection within us that we call God or Spirit or whatever we call that which is greater than we are, is going to be there with us as we take that step. And so I know that this year, as you open your presents, they're going to be wonderful. And the gift that you are continues to be that which is greater than all of us. And as you simply allow that Spirit to lead you and guide you this year, it will always lead you in the right way and in the right time and with lots and lots of love. That is my Christmas wish for each and every one of you. And we know that that is exactly the way Spirit intends it to be, and so it is. Namaste. Would you like me to do a prayer? Okay. So as we take a deep breath, and recognize that where we are, Spirit is now, this moment, in peace, in joy, in celebration, in perseverance, in love. Each and every one of us goes into this year ready to express the gift that we are, always knowing that we are expressing that gift in thanksgiving and in joy. But whatever the gift is that shows up, it is something that we do because we can. Because no matter what is put before us, we do not walk that path without the light that shines within. And as we do this, we do it in gratitude. We do it in peace. We do it in harmony. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you for all of the gifts. No matter how they look, we are grateful. And knowing that this is true beyond anything we can ever experience, we simply release and let it go. And so it is. Amen.